welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. So where we left off last time, we had just assembled our direct-assent moonlander, the Magnus II. And so now, we're going to get some crew going, and we're going to do it and see what happens. So, we landed Jeb on the moon before. This time we're going to go with Valentina and Bob. And Bob, of course, is a scientist, right? So he can actually reset our science experiments, the goo and the science, the materials bay. This mission will not have enough to do it. Not have enough Delta V. But sometimes, when I'm sending missions out to, like, Bop or Paul or something, or like Gilly, I'll construct a very light lander with a whole bunch of, like, extra, like, monopropellant and some asparagus staged, like, detachable small fuel tanks or something, and I'll use it as a hopper, and I'll bounce around on the surface, resetting the experiments, collecting science from multiple biomes in one launch. Sometimes even on Minmus I'll do that. But for this Magnus II mission to the moon, this direct ascent launcher is just not going to be able to pull that off. And that's fine. And so, presuming this works, and our Delta V is good and everything else, we can then use this mission to tag those other Easter eggs. Or, you know, we can use this direct ascent vehicle based off of our Zenithar capsule to tag those other Easter eggs. Alright, and because we've got our solid boosters doing most of the work right now, we don't need to be anywhere near full throttle on our mainsail engine. Because these thoroughbreds are beefy. And as you can see, they're, you know, I'm on like no throttle, and they're doing most of the work here. And they're relatively cheap, you know, relative to the Delta V output. So it's always a good thing. I mean, look at this. We're 2/3 of the way through, barely, and we're already up to like 30,000 meters, kilometers, apoapsis. Yeah, 30,000 meters apoapsis with this ridiculous moon landing rocket. Yeah, we're doing quite well. I'm a little worried about stack separation. Alright, that worked out. Okay. The ascent profile wasn't as angled as I'd like. But what I worry about there is if you're on too flat of a trajectory when you do a separation on solid rocket boosters, sometimes they'll fall back into your engine. You have to add on a whole bunch of extra separatrons to really throw them out. And I may do that for the next launch. But, you know, as with the last episode, I'm kind of playing it safe. This is going to get us about halfway there. Not bad. Alright, we ditched our fairing without losing any landing legs. That was good to see. We can run our magnetometer experiment. Whoa, whoa. Oh, alright, that's a problem. And that was my own dumb fault. I was distracted by the magnetometer thing, so I overshot our approach out to the moon. I should have cut the throttle to go do that experiment, but it's fine. It's easy to correct. Not going to take a lot of delta V to fix that. Come on, turn it around. Yeah, I should have gone the other way. Oh no, you know what? The problem was my ascent angle was screwy. There we go. Okay. Now, I think we have a contract to get science from around Kerbal. Alright, maybe not. I think it's science around the moon. But just getting in the habit of, you know, doing some quick science. Just in case we had a contract there that needed an easy completion. So now we're going to do our orbital insertion burn, or I'm sorry, our orbital retro burn to slow us down and get in orbit around the moon. Fair amount of delta V. We're a little bit lower than I would have liked, but our ascent angle wasn't good. So some of that was just human error on my part rather than any design issues with the booster or anything. Alright, is this going to take us near anything worthwhile? It kind of gets us near that monolith, which I think is on the edge of a crater. But we're in orbit now, so we can wait for stuff to come around to the day side and make our job a little easier. And you know what we can even do? We can... Well, I don't think I want to for this one. I mean, I do, but I don't. I'm thinking that I could even spend some delta V and incline the orbit a little bit, so that we had a little bit more inclination, southerly inclination, rather than wait an entire year. Because that way we could get to that monolith that's like below the equator a little bit easier. But you know what? I think I've got a plan. Alright, let me make sure I'm still... Yep. And I'm going to F5 for Kraken Insurance. Alright, so now... There we go. That didn't take much delta V. And that got us onto a much easier landing plane. Because when you're doing a landing like this and aiming for a specific point, you have to remember that, like, you can't just intersect, the blue line with where you're trying to go, because the moon is going to be, or the celestial body generally is going to be orbiting, is going to be rotating underneath you as you go. So that's a thing that you've got to keep in mind. And so, like, by the time you get there, it's going to have moved a little bit. F5 for Kraken insurance. See how we're doing here? Oh, you know what? All right, after I straighten this out, yep, that got our contract. Good. So the one thing that we kind of forgot to do, and it's not a big deal, I forgot to bring any surface experiments with me. Whoops. So I don't have any cargo or anything like that. Not a big deal, but I did forget. And I didn't realize it until just now. Alright, so this is going to be a risky suicide burn. The monolith is right over there, I think. It's been a couple of years since I've come out to this monolith. Oh, excuse me. Alright, oh no. Alright, we're actually almost going right for it. Or is it on, like, the edge of the crater? I don't remember. Let's orient ourselves a little bit more like this. Get a little bit closer to the surface. There it is, I think, right over there. Alright, so we're going to slow ourselves down, cancel out our lateral momentum. Yep, right over there. And do some insurance. Oh, no, maybe that's not it. Huh. Let's get a little closer to the surface. get it into full render distance. Maybe that's it right there. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. That was almost bad. Yeah, I was worried that suicide burn might not have been especially stable. Okay, this is not a very flat surface. I don't like having to do this. Oh boy. And we're almost out of monopropellant. Oh boy. Oh, come on. Oh, this is not good. Not good. We may have to abort. We're right here, and we may have to abort. Just because the landing slope is too inclined. And our RCS didn't have enough thrust to stabilize us upright, which is a serious problem. Oh, oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, this is not good. Okay. This is a serious problem. All right, what do I do? There is a chance that with the little bit of monopropellant we have left, I can shoot up that incline and right ourselves on the way up enough to avoid catastrophic death and destruction. So let's pretend that this was a good landing and proceed as if everything was fine. So, normally, in this sort of a situation, this would have been like reload a save state. But again, for this career, I'm deliberately challenging myself not to do that. Alright, and we're making sure that each of our crew members gets a chance to touch down. And touch the surface for the experience boost. Alright, and this is going to be an F5 for Kraken Insurance. And now we're going to go over to the monolith. And what biome are we on? Midland Craters. Yeah, and so the problems we had on landing there, that is the primary reason that I try to have the larger landing gear before doing these direct ascent missions. Because those skinny landing legs, oh man. It's rough. Alright, anyway. First direct ascent, moon landing, didn't quite go as planned. ... And just out of curiosity, I want to see... Alright, yeah, I did the same thing. Just making sure my naming convention for the flags was correct. Was the same. Alright, good. Looks like we're going to complete a bunch of contracts, so that's good. That was a lot of money. Okay. Ugh. That is so demoralizing. You know, I said I wasn't going to cheat, but just this once. God, what a botched mission. Oh. Yeah, sorry, we'll go do this again. I thought I saved before trying to take off there. Okay. So there's a chance that we're screwed and that this can't be recovered and that I'm going to have to send a rescue boat, which is going to add like 2 or 3 episodes onto the series trying to rescue these two if I can't fix this now. All right, let me see what I can do with this. Nothing. That will grind us in further. Do I have enough torque to get anything useful out of rotation? Sometimes rotating can bounce us in such a way that will be angled up a little bit. Because bouncing around like this is low risk. It's when we get under thrust that we run into problems. And I've only got, what does that say, 1.2 monopropellant left? Oh, man. What I'm hoping I might be able to do is bounce myself like off the edge of a little ledge or something like that. And because if I can get this airborne for a second, I might be able to correct it with gimbal thrust and that last little toot of monopropellant. But this is high risk. This is not at all how I expected this mission to go. And I apologize for cheating there. It's so demoralizing. To have, like, crew death this early on when it was so preventable is just my own incompetence caused that. Oh. Come on. I'm probably just going to fast forward this, because this is going to take me a few minutes to roll over there. All right. So, so now we're stuck again after all that, and our, like, needing to stop to do a quick save may have cost us all of our potential, like, inertia that we were rotating with, because I'm giving max control input right now to rotate, if you look down here on the left, and we're getting nothing. Okay. 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 Might be able to work with this. Okay. Oh. All right, that might have saved it. That might very well have saved it. Oh man, what a disaster. So as just a test of the delta V of our little return stage, I'm going to stage into it knowing that I had a little bit left there to go with. Oh boy. What a disaster Magnus 2 was. Yeah, this has plenty of Delta V. Look at that. So now I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to bring us down low, use some fuel, do a retro burn to lower our apoapsis so that our actual re-entry will be a little bit more shallow. My goodness, what a disaster this mission was. But that's Kerbal Space Program. That's how this works. And yeah, it's, the one silver lining is we're verifying that this return stage has an enormous amount of Delta V. So now we're just going to reposition here for our retro burn. Going down. Going down. All right. I feel really guilty about using that save slot, but just this one time. Because it's so early in the career. And it's so preventable. It's just my own idiocy. I knew that running with those wimpier landing legs was a serious risk. That's why I'd switched from 4 to 8, if you noticed, back during construction. And they ended up just not being able to cut the mustard. So the science we get from this mission is going to be spent getting the upgraded legs to use for Magnus 3. No question. And we'll just do our nice little safe, gentle landing. And look at that. See, like no ablator used at all. Man, Valentina and Bob, they had quite a risky mission. Quite a risky mission. Okay. And that should be a whole boatload of science. Yeah. That's the good news there, is that is a boatload of science. Yup, number one priority was those stronger legs. No question. And we can do without most of that. again, if I wasn't, as I had mentioned a while ago, if I wasn't recording this career at this point, I would be doing some advanced aerodynamics along with, where was it? Along with the scanning tech part there, and just flying all over Kerbin collecting science. But for purposes of this mission, I'm not going to do that. I'm torn, though, on what direction I want to take my science. Yeah, I think it's going to have to be scanning tech, because that way I can make some scansats to go up around the different celestial bodies. Okay. Alright, let's see what we have for available contracts. Moonstone. Normally, I would be playing around. I'd be eager to get like those Moonstone contracts and stuff. But again, for the purpose of this video series, I am going to be skipping some of those contracts because it would add an entire episode just going around getting Moonstone. And right now, I'm just focusing on the Easter eggs. And I may cheat out, I mentioned before, I may cheat this one out just to get it out of the way. Because it is a custom contract through the contract configurator mod, which means it's going to keep coming back until I get rid of it, one way or the other. But anyway, for right now, let's do this. Let's fix our Magnus mission, getting it ready for Magnus 3. Now, the good news is, like, all of the stages had good, healthy delta V. It was just the landing legs that were the problem. It was just the landing legs. And I'm going to have to rebuild that fairing, I think. No, that'll work. Okay, good. Do I have any additional science to throw in there? I think I picked up... No, none of that. However, the surface scanning module never hurts. Just to throw one of those in. Just because we can. Okay. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add some additional RCS just being super safe. Now, this is going to screw up my center of thrust in terms of translation if I try to use this for docking, but I'm not going to. When I get ready to use the Zenithar for docking, I'm going to go back to the named Zenithar mission instead of using this. You know, the other thing I can do, now that I'm thinking about it, this is actually a good idea. I'll put 2 of these just so we're not messing up with the weight. Yeah, there we go. Now we've got a little bit more stability and everything else. Okay. Now Magnus 3 is ready to go. And Bill has not been down to the moon yet. We did Bob and Valentina last time. So we'll do Eleni. And Bill, what are you wearing for a flight suit? Still the default? No. Okay. Alright. Now, we'll try this again and see what happens. Now, this time I'm deliberately going to be inclining my ascent and my orbit and everything. And that's going to make it easier to land on the Easter eggs that are off the orbital plane. Okay. Kraken Insurance. Oh, it's what I forgot to do. I forgot to add some extra separatrons for the boosters. You know what I'll do when it comes time to jettison? I'll just rotate. There we go. That should add a good margin of safety. And yeah, with a better ascent profile, this really does have a significant amount of delta V. But you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to manage my throttle on that first stage. So that ended up being extremely inefficient. It's always something, man. You know, I'm sorry, this episode I'm screwing up real bad. My head's just not in the game, I guess. Alright, our fairing was overheating, so we'll ditch that. And we'll see if we can get our intersection going. Oh, nope. Wait a minute. That's not the way I want. I always get those backwards. There we go. Come on. Okay, there we go. That's what we're looking for. And so again, the idea here is so that we can enter into a weird, significantly inclined orbit around the moon, which will reduce the amount of delta V we need to do like a plane shift in order to get to some of those weird Easter eggs. For the last one, I'm probably going to have to do a dedicated mission with some extra delta V to get into like an almost polar orbit around the moon. Probably. We'll see. Alright, and so for this one, what do we got down there? We've got crashed vessel, monolith. Yeah, and that one's tough. But that last monolith is like right near the South Pole. Which is kind of a difficult one to get to. Okay, so this orbit should be able to get us to the crashed ship. Maybe. Maybe not. We're going to have to... I think this is the right one. Yep. We're going to have to incline a little bit more, which is a lot more fuel than I wanted to use. This is smelling like another disaster mission. Now we're just going to do a couple of orbits and literally just wait for that to get into our plane here. Come on. Come on. Couple more orbits. Alright, I think on the next one I'll just do a correction. Except maybe do it the right way. Not quite gonna have the delta V from the looks of it. That is annoying. Yeah, we're already into our landing stage, so I don't think we're gonna have the delta V. Alright, well, our options are to either land where we can or abort. I am going to choose to land where we can. So I'm going to wait for a decent looking biome, or what might be a decent looking biome, to come up underneath our orbital plane. Not thinking there's going to be any. I know that some of those craters down on the bottom are their own individual biome, but for right now, I don't have enough margin for error. This mission is cutting it too close. So I'm just going to settle for any landing I can to complete those contracts and hopefully grab some extra science, even if it's diminishing returns. Yeah, we're going to miss our... We're going to miss our target. Why does it keep doing that? Alright, there we go. Nothing. Alright. Yeah, we have a lot of horizontal momentum to bleed here. I don't know, we might still be fine. Might still be fine. So what I was doing just there is just canceling out the last of my horizontal momentum. Alright, yeah, this should be okay. I mean, presuming we're landing on flat ground, which is a little hard to tell from this altitude, our delta V situation should be okay. Oh, this is a really steep incline. But see, look at how much more thrust we had with these extra RCS and how much stronger these landing legs are. So even landing on this kind of an incline was no problem. Alright, so where are we? We are at Midland Craters again? Really? I guess all of our science is going to be diminishing returns off this one. Well, that is a disappointment. Alright, well, we did our resource analysis and stuff at least. Maybe, do we at least have, like... Yeah, I don't think any of these are moonstone. Oh, That might be down there, that little geyser. Well, we're going to have a look. We're going to have, we'll have Bill. I don't remember if you need a scientist in order to mine that stuff. But we'll go find out. And we're just jumping like this just to save time. There's a little speck of white over there. That might be something. Is that moonstone? It might be. It's been a while. Yeah, it is. Okay. Nice. All right, 120 science. I will take that. Okay, there we are. Woo! That almost got a little weird. Alright, so Magnus 3 isn't a total waste, even though we kind of screwed up our trajectory for the landing, didn't have enough delta V to get to our target. We still ended up getting the moonstone, which is good. Alright. So now we'll go and plant the flag. And do all this just for good measure. Even though I think we're going to already have that captured. This mission didn't quite go as planned. Okay. Why does it keep doing that? Alright. And let's just make sure. Alright, that is a fair amount, so that's good. And you know what? Just for this one, we're going to leave our... We'll extend that just for fun. We're going to leave our landing stage. Goodbye. Okay. So again, the good news is we should have a ridiculous amount of delta V with this with the Zenithar capsule here. Famous last words, right? Come on. Get out of there. And we'll warp to apps and lower our periapsis. Just following that down. That is actually a useful gravity assist, but I'm not going to bother with that right now. I'm just going to come down here, do another traditional retro burn, just lower our apps. Playing it real safe at the moment. All right. Whoops. There we go. And again, want to try and shoot for around 30,000 meters as our atmospheric periapsis for re-entry. Even coming in from like much higher velocities, that usually gives a pretty safe re-entry profile. Oh, crud. Yeah, I messed up my staging. Come on. Alright, there we go. Alright, much better. Goodbye, service module. Alright. Now this should be a relatively smooth landing, and we've got a whole bunch of science, and we brought back some moonstone. So again, not a complete loss. Missed our primary objective, but we still got some good secondary stuff done. And that this episode will probably not be the last time we have some screw-ups. Especially when we're, like, launching out to Dress, or, like, the Moons of Jewel and stuff. Or, especially Moho. Moho is one that usually gives me a lot of weird, stupid problems. So, we'll probably have more problems again in the future, but that's half the fun. And see what we get for science. I'm hoping for maybe another 250 or so. Because most of this mission was diminishing returns. Alright, 226. That's not too bad. And it's not really going to be enough to get us any of this good stuff. But we can at least start working on some of these other techs. Okay. Science from space around Kerbal. Flag on the moon. Yeah, like this will pay for our moon landing. By itself. And you know what I really think I'm going to do? When I'm done with the moon, when I'm done with those monoliths and the crashed UFO, I'm just going to cheat out that rock arch contract. Because I'll be honest, I've done the rock arches so many damn times, I just don't care about them anymore. But, all right. So we're doing good there. I'm going to call it an episode here, and in between now and the next episode, I'm going to think a little bit and brainstorm about how I want to redesign that Magnus mission a little bit to get a little bit more Delta V, a little bit more margin of safety, so that we can incline our orbit around the moon a little bit easier. So I don't know if I'm going to start it from scratch. Maybe build like a shorter, flatter lander with less, without the science, without the materials bay. I don't know. So I'll give that some thought, but for right now, I'm going to call this an episode. As always, thanks for watching.